Well, Leroy, what can you say about the Muddler Minnow that hasn't already been said? Muddler Minnow is a super fly. It's originally developed by Dan Gapin up in the Nipigon country of Ontario for fishing brook trout. It's supposed to be, I guess, a sculpin minnow, but it can be fished dry, semi-dry, damp. It can be fished deep, and it's going to catch fish no matter how you fish
I normally like to fish the fly dry. I just don't particularly like to
in that case, it makes a good hopper imitation.
Excellent hopper.
Well, let's tie it. What are you going to use?
For the standard Muddler Minnow, we're going to use just a regular, natural deer hair, a mottled turkey wing for the tail and wing section. The body will be a gold flat mylar tinsel. The underwing is gray squirrel tail. And there's just another section of the model that's a little more cut up than the other one. And then the standard dry fly thread.
Now, that last model, that was for the tail.
That was for the tail. Well, either one or.
Yeah.
I have a 4X long hook in the vise. I've pinched the barb. It's a size 8.
And again, you can tie this in a wide range of sizes.
A lot of different sizes.
And you mentioned, you happen to use the word this is a standard muddler, because there are a number of variations, one of which we've already tied on the show is the bloody muddler, which you created yourself. But there are a lot of variations and colors. And,
sure.
This is the original.
Now, for the tail, I'm using just one section. Lay it on top, squeeze, pinch the barb or the hook and the material at the same time you're wrapping.
This is really critical, folks.
That will keep it right on top.
Tying with quill sections of duck or goose or turkey, whatever, you want to make sure that you don't twist it, that you don't have it folded or split. And you do that by making that loose loop on top, squeezing your thumb and finger tightly together and pulling straight down on your thread.
Yes.
And then the other trick is once you've made that first turn, you never again wind the thread to the good side of the material.
Right. Now what I've done when I trimmed that turkey wing or turkey tail off, I've left a little bit longer. That way it's not going to bulk up back here in the back so bad. It will give me more of a smoother transition.
This is particularly important because you're using a tinsel body.
Yes.
Now I suspect, knowing you, that you're going to do a single wrap body. I tend to go the other way, and I tend to double wrap it, start in front and go back and then forward again. But that's just really a matter of personal preference and what you like and what you're used to.
I fish the fly dry so often, I don't like that additional weight of that extra layer of tinsel.
Well, I never think about it because I've got all that deer hair in there and a lot of
you're
grease
probably
that keeps
right.
it up on top.
You're probably
The reason
right.
I like to double wrap it is because it closes any possible gaps in the material, and it just makes a very sturdy body.
Now I finished the body wrap, I tied it off, then I folded the mylar back over and captured it again. Just gives it a double locking point. Now for the underwing, I'll just take a small section of the gray squirrel, clip it off. I'm not even going to even this. The squirrel usually will come out fairly close.
Pretty even anyway. I never have.
It's a little off, but not bad. And you can see the nice coloration. It's tan to black to white, and it does give a good color there. Get it tied in place. Take another wrap around it and then trim it at an angle. Now I'm not going to put that rubber-based cement in there yet until I get the turkey wing sections. Now this is a matched turkey, model turkey section, and you can see this is where I've taken the two matching quills out to make the wings. If you don't have the matching one, and by matching I mean there's an even amount of material on either side of the stem. That's what makes the matching set.
And they're shaped the same too.
It's shaped identical.
But sometimes you get a turkey wing feather. This is a wing feather, by the way, not a tail. And sometimes you get them where the shape on one side of the stem is different than the other, and in which case you use two matched feathers, and you take it out of two different feathers so that the sections match.
Now that you can see, I have the two together.
Put the concave sides together, the dull sides.
Dull side to dull side. Match the points, the tips, as close as you can get them.
We might mention that these feathers and the tail has a natural curvature.
Going to the down.
And that most people tie it with that curve going back and down rather than back and up, with both the tail and the wing.
You could do it either way. I have seen it done both ways.
I have too. I think the original way was curved downward.
I prefer to have it down.
I think
That's just me.
Well, partly because you're imitating a minnow primarily, not a grasshopper or something, but this is a good hopper imitation too when you fish it dry.
And now I'm going to take just a little bit of rubber-based cement and just put a little bit of that in those butts. Then I'm going to hang on to this once more and just bind it all down good. That way I know it's not going to come loose. That squirrel is captured in there very nicely along with the wing. Now, we'll go with the deer here.
You'll notice too on this fly that the wing and the underwing and the tail all ended about the same place.
Now for the deer here, a lot of guys I've seen can do this. I never have any luck with it. I'll go ahead and stack this because it does need evened up. They'll put one larger section in there and just kind of divide it around. This will become the overwing, but I always have better luck if I do it in two sections. It seems like it fills in more. I'm going to make it about half the length of the tail of the wing section.
Yeah, you want some of that wing showing.
Absolutely, yes. So I'll clip it off with my measurement. I'm going to lay it on the opposite side myself, take a loose wrap, and pull tight.
So you're really not
going to let that
it.
spin. I'm not going to let that spin at all. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, on the side closest to me. Get rid of that under fur.
I think that's a good point. You know, a lot of people do spin that first bunch and use one large bunch, and
I don't have luck doing that.
It spoils the effect too, I think.
I have seen guys do it, but I've just never been that successful with it. Now here's the second bunch. I'm going to lay it up on my side and measure. I want it to come out about the same length as the first one. I'll clip it off, and I'll lay this on my side and tighten it down again. I am not going to let it spin. I'm going to go through it several times right here, and I'm going to stand all these butts up and get my tying thread in front of them. That's where I want the rest of it to be. Now this next section, I do not even. I don't do anything with them except get the under fur out.
And I've got to say there's a wide variety of muddler heads.
Oh, lots.
Some people just sort of loosely have it around there, so it's a fairly loose head. Other people pack it to death and
real tight.
Clip it so it's a very solid, tight head. And I guess that's individual preferences.
Absolutely.
I think the original one was fairly loose, but we've gotten to be a little more creative now.
I'm going to leave the tips in here. I'm going to spin this section. I leave the tips in for a reason.
And pointing forward.
And pointing forward, over the eye of the hook. Now I have this section captured, but I'm going to go backwards into that first two clumps of hair that I put on. That will definitely marry those two sections together. Now the reason I leave those tips on, I can grab a hold of them now. It just basically becomes a little handle. Grab a hold.
I think that's a super trick, and again, I've said it before when you've done this, I've learned this from you, because the problem always is binding some of those darn
They'll always
deer hairs
get
down.
in the way, seem like always in the way.
But this way, when you tie the points forward and fold it back, you've got lots of room there. It's very convenient to whip finish a head, either by hand or with a whip finishing tool or with a half-hitch tool.
Either way. There it is. Now, I'm going to take it out of the vise, but I'm going to leave it right here. And I'm just going to trim it as best I can to a muddler head shape. And again, like you said, there are lots and lots of different muddler head shapes.
Some people taper it. Some people leave it level.
Some people like it very large.
Yeah.
I like to start with mine to have it almost perfectly round. And then you can kind of adjust it with what you want to do on the stream when you get there. And just trim it off.
I think if I ever get to the point where I have to adjust my muddlers on the stream, I'll start raising flowers or something.
Well, like if you tie it with a cone-shaped head, you can actually strip the muddler to you and it will sink. Relax it and it will bob back up to the surface. No, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time trimming on this. You can see where we are with that.
Speed it up.
But there's the muddler, the standard muddler as Don Gapin did it. That's quite a large head on there, but I'll guarantee that fly will float for a long time. Representative of many insects. It can be taken for hoppers. It can be taken for stoneflies, lots and lots of different ones.
Very nice, and I really like the way you've got that